Alright, up next from the metal bypass upright series is this Bernina 6500C commercial upright vacuum. I got this machine as a Christmas present from not this past Christmas but the Christmas before from my dad's boss. He bought a cabin and this vacuum came with the place, but had no desire or interest in keeping it, so he asked if I wanted it because he was just going to throw it away, and sure enough, I took it. This was the condition it was in when I found it. Even by just blowing it off with the leaf blower as like the only thing I've done to this machine, it looked exactly the same as it was when I actually found it. So this machine could definitely use some TLC. So on the back of the handle here, the cord hook busted off. This actually does have a replacement cord, and it's not fully in like it should. As you can see from this here, this was what prevents from this sliding out. The filter cover, or the actual filter itself, is bent out of shape. So as you can see, someone actually put a screw in there, but whenever you turn the machine on, this actually pushes out. So I can tell that the front color would need to be replaced. And then even underneath here as well, this little belt protector thing of what covers this whole thing right here, snapped off, as you can see here. So, and also you can tell that this belt snapped, of course, as well. It's actually a Bissell belt. But other than that, and with a pretty dirty bag in it, it works pretty good. Kind of surprising too. But anyways, I've wanted one of these machines for quite some time now. Well, particularly the blue residential version, but nonetheless, I'm actually glad to have one of these, as this is mechanically the same as the blue residential model, although this one I think is a little more unique because, as you can see here, it has a clear headlight lens, but there is no wiring to actually put a bulb inside of here. So I think that's pretty unique, because on other commercial machines they just put a plastic molded headlight line support there to basically block from having a headlight to put in here, whereas this is the only commercial vacuum that I've seen that basically did the opposite. Weird, but I would say in a very cool way, because I think this adds a little more character. It makes it less boring in my opinion, but would have been cool if it actually did have a headlight, as some of the other commercial vacuums do as well, like a sanitary, for example, since it's red. So, and I also think it's pretty unique that these are not only a filter cover, but actually a filter itself, to where once you replace the filter, you just replace the whole cover entirely. Personally, I would just prefer having this as a single piece, where you could just be more conservative and just replace the actual filter itself, but keep the piece still. But nonetheless, it's a pretty interesting machine overall. It's like Tacony they were hot sellers in vacuum stores to where companies like Dust Carry, for example, wanted to make a copy of what they were selling so they can have vacuum stores to sell them. So they came out with this particular machine, but it's like, what I would say is unique is that it's like both Ricard and Simplicity had a kit together. So it's, you have the same looped handle as the 7 Series, including the carry handle as well, but you also have the same wheels as the Ricards, including Panasonic as well, onto one machine. Yeah, not to mention, being that they're related together, is they have a check bag indicator light, but they're not made by the same company. However, not only I've seen these sold under the Evolution brand, but also I have in fact seen one of these under the Ricard brand as well. So interesting enough, Ricard decided to contact their copycat company and make a clone for Ricard out in Taiwan. I don't think they've ever sold one here in the States, but I have in fact seen pictures of it before, which I thought was very interesting and unique. So again, that basically proves as a testimonial that these machines were so good that that you have companies that just decides to make copycats, and even Eris themselves is buying the copycat companies from a Chinese manufacturer called Nationwide, or the distributor, but they do in fact get the upright from China. So anyways, so despite that it doesn't say Bernina on the front, the only way you can basically tell if it is a Bernina is looking at the back here. So as you can see, it says Bernina of America, or it would just say, if this sticker weren't in the way, made for Bernina. If this were an Evolution model, it would say Dust Carry, which would be the manufacturer of these machines, which we would now know today as ESCO. So, you know, despite some of the rough areas, it actually did came with some attachments. So it has the dusting brush, which is really soft for being nylon. A crevice tool, which is honestly pretty short. I could care less about it. And a wand, which I actually really do like. So unlike some of the Taconi models where you only extend the wand out 2 times, you can actually do it 3 times. So there's one, and if I can do this with one hand, maybe not, but this piece can extend out. The Simplicity and Ricard models can do that as well, from like the 7 Series and 8000 series. But yeah, that's basically why they've copied these machines, because they were just so good machines. I think it's the other way around. There we go. And then, like its rival companies, you do have an inlet to where you can put in an extension hose or even undo a clog, but it also does have a suction dial as well. My Cirrus doesn't have that, which would be coming up next, and that one's made by the same company as this one. Rubber coated wheels, don't think I've mentioned that. Thermal reset button, and Amatec motor, unlike Taconi, which after they used Amatec, they later switched over to Duratec, which are good, but not as reliable as this. So it's not that too surprising to see that this motor doesn't have bearing noises yet, despite being used commercial heavily. So anyways, without further ado, I'll go ahead and plug this machine in. If this were the original cord, it would be orange, but as you can see here, it isn't. And not to mention, I can tell someone did try to replace the cord as well, but didn't do that too well of a job. So because the belt is snapped, you won't be able to hear the brusher running on the rug. So without further ado, here it is. Anyways, and another thing I just really like about these machines as well is that because these are so good that you can actually not only still get parts for it, but you can even still buy one of these today. Not the same exact model, but there is an Airway model that takes the same hood as this one, if you include the headlight, of course, but they even make them under the commercial model as well, that you could just go in and buy one. Because if you do, I highly recommend them, because these are one of the best bypass uprights that you can buy on the market today. So anyways, thanks for watching and hope you've enjoyed.